Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're located on planet Earth. Welcome to another edition of the pre-market PulseScan with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave price trigger reports that we put right in your hand each and every trading day. And if you are not already subscribed to the Pulse Wave Price Trigger Reports, what are you doing with your life? You're missing out. Hit that like button. You know you got to smash the like button for me. Come on now. Don't be lazy. Here we are, hump day, middle of the week. It really does feel like a holiday, man. It really does. It's starting to feel like a holiday because, we had the 4th of July over the weekend and then it kind of spills over. So it's like we're used to, just having a weekend normally like the Monday will follow that. And this time we didn't have that. So it just feels just kind of feels weird, if you will. You know what I mean? So anyway, time to get into some things. The markets are starting to look really interesting. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and get the screen sharing going so you can take a look at these overnight markets. All right, so starting off with the Dow. The Dow is up 12 points, trading at 25,784. NASDAQ 100 is up 31 points, trading at 10,563 half. E-mini S&P up 4, trading at 3140 and 3/4. The Russell My Hustle, it's down 2.8 points, make that 2.9 points, trading at 1308 even. Bitcoin Futures Composite Index trying to strengthen a little bit here, up $80 at 93.70. Nat gas down 2 pennies at $1.85. Crude oil down 7 cents at $40.55 per barrel. And the long bond is down for 30 seconds, trading at 178.28. That's 178 and 28 30 seconds. Gold futures are up $10.20 an ounce, trading at 18.1990. Silver up 22 cents an ounce, trading at $18.92 an ounce. US dollar index down 5 pips at 96.82. The euro dollar is up 10 pips at 113.14. Pound sterling is down 8 pips at 125.51. Canadian dollar is off 17 pips at 135.85. Euro yen is up 29 pips at 121.50. Dollar yen is up a penny at, I said a penny, up a pip at 107.54. And the Kiwi is off 3 pips at 65.43. Soybeans down another 4 1/4 this morning at 8.98 1/4 after getting well above the 9 handle. Just having a problem with the $9 handle. I don't know what it is. All right, corn down 1 3/4 points at 3.50 3/4, and wheat is up 2 3/4 points at 4.98 even. So it's trying to get back above 5. I remember when there was a time when corn was like at, below $3 a bushel, and so was wheat, and so were the beans, man. Beans used to be an average price of about $4 a bushel. Wheat was around 3 something, and corn was always the cheapest. But ever since the ethanol situation and all this other stuff going on, things have changed. All right, let's take a look at something I want to show you. I know a lot of people don't have a chance to catch the overnight, the end of day report. So just to give you a little heads up of what we were seeing coming into today's trading. All right, so starting it off, the notable is the Mexican peso started the day off with a rally alert for last night, trading into today, and it is in the Kumo cloud in the Algo chart. The following have all crash alerts. That is the Dow, the Bitcoin Futures Composite, the E-mini S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, crude oil, and the Russell My Hustle. All of those came into today with crash alerts. All right, so those crash alerts were for last night into today's trading. Those are notable. So we're going to be really watching, keeping an eye on the U.S. Stock index futures to see exactly which direction we're going to end up taking. It should be noted that the Bitcoin futures composite is now in an official correction zone. All right, so pulling back from the bullish high. It should be noted that the Dow, according to the Algo chart, is in a bull market, and it's been having some pretty solid momentum, but it's looking like that could be over. As far as the others, it's pretty much the same scenario, with the exception of the Russell. The Russell is no longer locked in. It came off of lock-in, and now it's still in that, in a bull complexion, but the locked-in momentum has come off. All right, which is a dangerous thing when you have a crash alert behind that. So that's just something to watch. Also, another interesting thing is that we have silver and we have gold, both in bull markets now, and they're both locked in on the bullish momentum side. However, they both have negative bot checks. So I'm a little concerned on my long positions in gold and silver at the moment because of the negative bot checks. What I am hoping, since we don't have any crash alerts, is that those supports will hold and that the market will go ahead and start moving forward here. And I think the overnight market was a really good sign that it's going to happen. And like I said, I'm not nervous because we don't have crash alerts. All right. Negative bot check can lead to a crash alert, but not necessarily. So that's just something that you got to watch, because even in a bull market, you're going to get these self signals from time to time. It doesn't mean that they're actual crash alerts. It just means that there's some selling going in. Could be some light profit taking, could be some specs trying to pick tops. So in bull markets, that's what you watch. In a bear market, similar situation, but it's a little bit different. And that's because bear market rallies tend to be ferocious. All right. And it's just the nature of the markets and how they're designed and how the mentality and market approach is done. So more on that at a later date, but I just wanted to give some of you that missed, last night's end of day report. Another thing too is it's very important when you come to the end of day report. It's important to tune into that because it gives you, the listener, an opportunity to interact with me. You can put in this is how I do it. At the start of the live stream, what I do is I do futures and forex first. Then I do cryptos. Then the final segment is equities. All right. So what I ask for you to do is when you come to the live, post your requests in the live stream in the beginning. That way, when we get to the equity segment, I can just pull all the charts up and we can get it in. All right. And that's your opportunity. If you want to look at something, I can pull it up. Even if it's not a part of the PulseWave reports, I can add it even at that time. I can add it, and then you will start to see it on the following day's report. So it's a wonderful time for you guys to interact and get your questions, and you can ask questions and all that good stuff. and we can make it happen. All right. So just FYI for you guys. All right. With that being said, let's get into the overnight news here. All right. Trump's advisors reportedly considered proposals to undermine Hong Kong's peg to the US dollar, threatening a system that has been in place since 1983. President Donald Trump's topmost officials consider proposals to limit Hong Kong's peg to the US dollar as part of its response to China's draconian law imposed last month. If the limit was to come in effect, it could spell the end of a decades-long currency arrangement that has been in place since 1983. So more trade war. The trade wars are really heating up. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway struck a $10 billion deal to buy Dominion Energy's natural gas business. Here's why the energy giant sold. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway recently struck a $10 billion deal to acquire most of Dominion Energy's natural gas business. The most accurate analyst covering companies like Amazon says these 7 stocks are great bets for the future of e-commerce, even as the coronavirus bump fades. From FANG, F-A-N-G, to FANG, F-A-A-N-G plus, and FANMING, if that's how you want to say it, which is F-A-A-N-M-G. Man, they can't make up their minds what they want to have, in this. It's just hilarious, man. But really, Microsoft, recently has been added. So it used to just be, Facebook and Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Then it went from Facebook to Apple to Amazon to Netflix to Google. Now it's Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, and Google. So that's a new FANG. All right. I guess the M is silent. All right, an investment chief who doubled 3 of her firm's ETFs within 3 years told us the most overlooked technology innovation on her radar and shared the 3 stocks she's been snapping up since the pandemic started. If Kathy Wood wanted to gloat and say her investment philosophy has been vindicated, she could probably get away with it. Whatever. Alibaba's Ant plans Hong Kong IPO targets valuation over $200 billion, sources say. Ant Group, the fintech arm of Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba, plans a Hong Kong float as soon as this year and targets a valuation of more than $200 billion, said 2 sources with knowledge of the matter. All right, let's see. Cannabis firms see jump in insurance costs to protect leaders as investors sue. Canadian and U.S. cannabis companies are facing a spike in already high cost of insurance to protect top executives from personal liability, following a slew of lawsuits by disgruntled investors alleging fraud and misinformation, with more such action expected. Well, that's messed up because I have to say, the governments of the world have not made it easy, especially in the U.S., where remember when back in the Trump presidency, the night he won 2016, I remember at the same time there were some referendums and things where there was a few states saying, yeah, we're going to legalize, marijuana. I remember Colorado was like the biggest one, and then California and a few other places. And then they said, okay, so the states are not going to say anything, but the feds was coming in and raiding people saying, well, it's still illegal federally, even though the state said it was okay. So it was like the weirdest time. It just didn't make any sense. So it was just a lot of foolishness because, again, at the end of the day, Big Pharma doesn't like any competition. And if they have to, they will commit murder and make it look like a suicide. If that doesn't work, they'll try to buy up, as many of the competition as possible. And if that still don't work, then they will use their buddies in law enforcement and crack down on you that way. Just like they did on people who sell raw milk. Remember those videos of them coming in with M16s and SWAT gear to arrest Farmer Brown and his wife? You know, just nonsense, man, nonsense. But that's the world we live in. We live in a world of corruptness and nonsense. Credit Suisse aims for 100% of securities venture in China growth plan. Credit Suisse wants to raise its China securities joint venture stake to 100% and increase its market share after getting the regulatory green light to take a majority holding, the head of its Asia business said. And of course, stocks are mixed. In Europe, stocks are down. In Asia, Chinese and Hong Kong stocks are up, but Japan's Nikkei is down 0.8%. And of course, U.S. futures are pointing to a lower open. Earnings coming in, we have Welcia Holdings and Johnson Electric Holdings. And on the economic front, we have U.S. consumer credit, EIA, crude oil stocks changes are due. So that's what we got going on right now. As you can see, it's kind of quiet for the most part. Not a lot going on, but you know, you still have these little areas where things are coming up. As far as you know, with the on the geopolitical front, the war drums are beating, and it's just a lot of more Big Brother talk. I don't know if people have been watching it, but there is a lot of Big Brother talk. And so we're gonna be all over the place today. Let me see. Just give me 1 second here. Nothing really big bombshell though. But there are some things that with the pandemic that are also heating up. So let's see. Let's see. All right. Very interesting things. It's a hodgepodge this morning. Let's see where I want to start. Where do I want to start? Haven't gotten my inbox too flooded lately, and I think that's because we've been pretty much oh wow, yeah, we got some interesting things here to talk about this morning. So nothing really too deep. But we're just gonna dive in. Y'all ready? All right. Here's something really interesting. I thought was interesting. New Jersey to make masks mandatory outdoors. U.S. reports record 60,000 new COVID-19 cases. Wow. Kudlow says moving back toward lockdown would be a mistake. Mount Sinai Emergent Bio announces plans to test new COVID plasma drug. Why are you guys spending all this time and energy coming up with a vaccine when all you got to do is use the hydrochloroquine cocktail that has been out in the open for months now? Telling you if you use that and some like 2 or 3 other ingredients, you got yourself a cure. I don't understand what the problem is. Why is that so hard for them to understand? U.S. reports 60,000 new cases on Tuesday. New Jersey orders mandatory mask wearing outside. U.S. coronavirus cases top 3 million. U.S. reports 44,000 new cases on Tuesday. 56 Florida ICUs hit full capacity. Texas hospital occupancy at more than 90%. World reports 5,000 new deaths. U.S. sees highest daily death toll since June the 9th. Brazil president says he's taking hydrochloroquine. Trump demands schools reopen in the fall. As Trump pushes to reopen schools in the fall, elicits the inevitable blowback from the left-leaning press. Larry Kudlow took to CNBC Wednesday morning to defend the policy and reiterate that the data continues to point to a V-shaped recovery and that taking more steps back toward another lockdown would be a big mistake. You don't say. All right, so as you can see, there's still a big old nonsense surrounding the coronavirus and the total reopenings. But it's been a lot of talk about Tesla. What's really going on with Tesla? Well, you know, your boy is part of the club, so of course he's going to be in the news. Since the beginning of 2020, the aggregate market cap of the 12 largest automakers is up 9.3% to $803 billion. Quite an increase considering the COVID pandemic is causing a global depression and weak auto sales. The obvious question is, why is the auto sector doing so well amid such uncertainty? The answer is it's not. The optics are driven by one stock, and that's Tesla. For those that don't know, the ticker is T as in Tom, S as in Sam, L as in Larry, A as in Apple. Tesla's stock price continues its moonshot while other automakers languish. Ford. The gross divergence of fortunes in the industry is worth exploring. As has always been the mandate, we look at data on auto sales, industry trends, and demographics to help you come to your conclusions about Teslas and the auto industry. But really, you don't have to look any further than the PulseWave price trigger reports. Hint, hint, wink, wink. All right. This, in turn, will allow you to access Teslas better independently. So here's the auto industry as a whole. According to the International Organization of Motor Vehicle Manufacturers, global vehicle sales have grown annually at 0.37% over the last 5 years. Sales over the previous 15 years are quite a bit stronger at 2.20%. All right. So again, not strong. Bottom line, auto sales over the last 5 years are tepid at best. To put sales into a different context, it's worth comparing them to economic activity. Over the last 15 years and 5 years, global GDP has grown annually around 4.17% and 3.14% respectively. Auto sales are not keeping up with global growth. And for those that need to handle some business, the opening bell just rung. So if you need to put some tickets in, play some stops, etc., now is the time to do that. All right, China has increased car ownership significantly, is in the bright light for the industry. However, sales of vehicles in China are leveling off. With China's economic growth slowing considerably and auto ownership more saturated, China's appetite for autos will remain weak. So what happens when you look at truth and facts together? Without an obvious geographic region to replace China, the industry must rely on changes in consumer behaviors and preferences. So let's take a look at the demographics. Baby boomers are retiring in droves and need fewer automobiles. Facts. Can the newest drivers, millennials, and Generation Z pick up the slack? No. The Atlantic wrote an article in March 2012 entitled, "Why Don't Young Americans Buy Cars?" While the article is dated, it still rings true. Here are some key quotes about the millennial generation's desire to buy cars. All right? Peep it, peep it, peep it. All right. Quote, "Kids these days, they don't get married. They don't buy homes. And much to the dismay of the world's automakers, they apparently don't feel a deep and abiding urge to own a car. The Times quotes that less than half of potential drivers aged 19 or younger had a license in 2008, down from nearly two-thirds in 1998. The fraction of 20 to 24-year-olds with a license has also dropped. And according to CNW research, adults between the ages of 21 and 34 buy just 27% of all new vehicles sold in America, a far cry from the peak of 38% in 1985. In a major conference last year, Toyota USA President Jim Lentz offered up a fairly doleful summary of the industry's challenge. We have to face the growing reality that today young people don't seem to be as interested in cars as previous generations, Lentz said. Many young people care more about buying the latest smartphone or gaming console than getting their driver's license, end quote. Can't argue with you on that one. The next generation, Generation Z, currently age 5 to 25, are starting to buy cars. As such, it is early to define Generation Z's car buying preferences. However, they are being shown to be frugal with big ticket items. Data shows that their buying habits are similar to the millennial generation. These seem to make sense given their existing student debt obligations and relatively low wages. Ride sharing. Here's something you don't hear talked about that much anymore. As if generational shifts are not enough trouble for the industry, ride sharing companies may be worse. Uber and Lyft make it easy to avoid car ownership. What taxis did for car ownership in New York City, ride sharing services are doing in many urban and suburban regions. In Manhattan, less than a quarter of households own a car. That compares to an average of 1.88 vehicles per U.S. household. U.S. household. The cost benefit analysis of owning a car has changed and is not to the benefit of the auto manufacturers. Autonomous ride sharing services in the future will only make this problem more acute. Now, I got to say something about it because they threw New York up in there. First of all, New York is not the place that you would want to be trying to sell too many cars anyway for people that live in the city. If you live in a city, the trains and buses and taxis, they run 24/7. You can literally take a train to any destination in the city. Literally. If you live in a city, you can get up, you do not need a car. You can hop a train and go anywhere, any time of day. You can get a taxi and go anywhere, any time of day. You can ride the bus any time of day, any day, and go where you need to go. Or you can walk. You do not need to have a car if you live in the city. And even technically, if you don't live in the city, but if you live in one of the five boroughs, again, you can hop on a train and you can go anywhere you want to go. So you really don't need to have a car unless you live in New Jersey or you live in upstate New York somewhere. It's just how it is, man. It's just the benefits of New York. Now, most cities, have a similar type of a setup like New York, but no one has it like New York. New York City is a rare situation. I don't know how they got it going on in places like Tokyo or whatever, or Hong Kong, but I know New York City definitely got it going on. All right. They can go anywhere. But see, when you live in the suburbs, you ain't got it like that. You have to get a car. If you're in the suburbs, that's it. You gotta have a car. No question. Hands down, you gotta have a car. You gotta have a car. Now, yes, pretty much every suburb in America has a bus route. But those buses don't run 24/7 like they do in places like New York City, where you can ride the bus at any time of day, even on Christmas or New Year's. That bus is running. All right, just like the train is. The train don't stop. Can't do that in the suburbs. You better have a car or have a friend that has a car, because you ain't going nowhere. If you need to go somewhere outside of the bus line time, then you just short. So yeah, I can see how that's a problem if they're using places like New York City and using that as a gauge. That may be a little counterproductive, but at any rate, moving on. All right, so while we're talking, precious metals are hitting new highs. Silver is now the highest price it's been in a minute. It is now broken $19 an ounce. Gold is on fire at 15 bucks. I think we may have a rally here, ladies and gentlemen. And look who else is moving. Bitcoin Futures Composite Index just broke 94 and is trading near the highs of the session. New highs are everywhere. New highs are everywhere. But the U.S. stock market is really not trying to do right. It's trying to avoid these crash alerts, but technically speaking, the Russell has pulse waved. Sorry, it has pulse waved. There's no way around it. The Dow came real close, has not hit intraday price inflection yet. Maybe on this technical bounce it will. And I'm sorry, I said the Dow, didn't I? I meant the NASDAQ. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm looking at the NASDAQ. I said Dow. NASDAQ got close. Okay, the Dow did pulse wave. So sorry. Dow and Russell definitely pulse wave. They hit intraday price inflection. So maybe on this bounce, the NASDAQ will hit its price inflection, but they have. Even the S&P 500 has also hit intraday price inflection. So I think we roll over at this point. Normally, you don't get any production if the alert is not going to play out right away. But again, these alerts do lead the market. They tend to lead the market 3 to 5 days out. So if we don't get major downside production in the stock indices today, then there's always tomorrow and Friday, folks. So we'll see what happens. But very interesting developments as we are doing this live. I thought I would point that out to you guys. All right. So why are valuations rising then? The recent pace of car sales is weak and below economic trends. Global economics argues there is no clear replacement for China's growth of years past. Demographics do not favor the industry. So why is the aggregate value of auto companies rising during a depression? As shown below, Tesla's market cap has risen 244% this year. The market cap of the industry, excluding Tesla, is down 17%. All right. Since Tesla's been a good little boy, his stock is being rewarded. Again, follow the money. The money tells you everything you need to know, ladies and gentlemen, even if it's news you don't want to hear. Remember, Tesla decided to play ball. He's part of the club. And so, remember, he was making those ventilator machines and stuff for the government, during the lockdowns. Remember that? Had his factories running. Remember that? Well, now he's being rewarded with his stock price. That's all that is. The government said, you do something for us, we'll do something for you. So now the Fed is just buying up shares in his company to make it look really nice and fluffy. All right, that's all that is. You don't have to take my word for it, but like I said, follow the money. Follow the money. Don't forget, the Fed has turned on their computer. All right, the Fed chairman is sitting at his laptop buying shares. Okay, I'm just letting y'all know. Just letting you know. Hey, good looking out. Thanks, Oscar, for letting me know that. He's saying that the pulse waves are killing it in the Canadian dollar. That the analysis was right on the money. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what we do, man. That's what's up. All right, so the straightforward question is Tesla becoming an automotive behemoth and leaving its competition in the dust? No. The Fed chairman is just doing him a solid because he did the government a solid with those ventilator machines. Wake up and open your eyes. And so you can't overlook stuff like that. I miss nothing. I see it all. Tesla sales are a fraction of every other major manufacturer. By default, investors must think their future sales trajectory is enormous. Meanwhile, deliveries have been flat since the third quarter of 2018. If Tesla shareholders are correct, Tesla must garner at least 25 to 30% of the market share. Can Tesla justify the combined market cap of GM, Fiat Chrysler, Honda, BMW, Nissan, Hyundai, Mercedes, and Ford? Before you answer, understand they currently make only about 2% of the cars as those other manufacturers. Just 2%. Tesla's advantage for now, the Fed's computer. The Federal Reserve laptop is an alien laptop with mad RAM. The specs are ridiculous. At the click of a mouse, he can buy a zillion shares of the market and drive the market up. It's just how it is, man. All right. The Federal Reserve is its own PPT. They can do whatever they want. Tesla certainly has a valuable first starter advantage in the electric vehicle category. Notably, however, they do not have patents. All right, they do not have patents. When you start to talk about manufacturing, when you start to talk about intellectual property and inventions, patents are the most important. Patents. All right, you can't do Nathan without patents. If you don't have a patent, someone else can come along and jack your intellectual property. All right? You got to have patents. Its advantage exists because other manufacturers have been slow to release electric vehicle cars. The technology is easy to replicate, especially without a patent. Whether they are waiting for costs to decline, longer battery life, persistently higher gas prices, or more robust demand, we don't know. Nonetheless, the wait will not be much longer. Most auto manufacturers have lines of electronic vehicles due out this year and next year. Many will come at prices cheaper than those Tesla offers. Unlike Tesla, they offer their clients service shops and trade-ins. Tesla's first mover advantage is slipping away quickly. For Tesla's market cap to be correct, the following must be true. A, they must continue to dominate the electronic vehicle space. B, electronic vehicles must gain significantly in popularity. And 3, other manufacturers must be incapable of producing competitive electric vehicles. That's a tall order. Tesla stock may run higher. We believe its stock price is in the grips of speculative fervor and passive investing momentum. These conditions may last longer. We do not know when Tesla's moonshot will end. However, as we learned in 2001, the end is usually swift and vicious. Afterward, it can take years and even decades before the investor breaks even. Just consider it took Microsoft 15 years to regain the record highs of 2000. At that time, Microsoft had strong fundamentals and a dominant market position. Tesla, not so much. So yeah, at some point the merry-go-round is gonna stop, and that'll be it. And I have to tell you, it is a possibility. It's a possibility that it could go the way of the Broke Brothers. Broke Brothers. The oldest U.S. men's retailer files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Brooks Brothers has now become Broke Brothers. The forced work from home lockdowns have created an environment where the average working man or woman or other in America is now only visible from the shoulder up on his Zoom calls. You can see if you're making Zoom calls, that's all you can do. You can't go into work. Everyone's afraid. This new COVID normal of informal meetings seems to have been the last nail in the coffin for America's most iconic menswear retailer, as Brooks Brothers has just filed for bankruptcy just weeks after Men's Warehouse owner Tailored Brands considered the same situation. A month ago, it was noted that the 202-year-old clothing retailer Brooks Brothers was in talks with banks about raising financing for a potential Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing amid the coronavirus pandemic, according to a report by CNBC. Brooks Brothers' chief executive told the New York Times at the time that while he was not eager to consider a Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing, he would not rule it out. It appears, despite the Fed's massive credit easing, that no one would rescue the oldest men's retailer and closely held company, which is owned by Italian businessman Claudio Del Vecchio, filed for bankruptcy protection in Wilmington, Delaware. Brooks Brothers was acquired by the British retail chain Marks and Spencer Group, PLC, in 1988. It was sold in 2001 to retail brand Alliance Inc., which was controlled by Mr. Del Vecchio, whose father founded Luxcata Group SPA, the Italian eyeglass maker. It changed its name to Brooks Brothers Group Inc. in 2011. Brooks Brothers has more than 250 stores in North America and 500 stores worldwide. Wow. As Fox News notes, Brooks Brothers was facing challenges before the health crisis. Forced non-essential retailers to temporarily close their stores, U.S. corporations had turned increasingly casual and fewer men were buying suits. Once people started sheltering at home, they turned to even more casual attire, such as sweatpants. The filing follows other retailers who sell men's workwear, J.C. Penney's, Neiman Marcus, and J.Crew, who have all filed for bankruptcy during the pandemic. Wow, where are we going to buy clothes now? I guess we have to turn to Walmart or Target. No, say it ain't so. Brooks Brothers is expected to attract buyers, older people familiar with the situation said. Authentic Brands Group LLC, a licensing company that owns the Barney's New York and Sports Illustrated names, is a potential suitor, they said. Wow. Bye-bye, Broke Brothers. Nobody could afford your $4,000 suits anyway. Man, oh man, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. It makes you think, well, what next? Who else is going to be filing? Who else is going to say we can't do it? We can't make it. All right, now this is an interesting one here too. This is really interesting, you guys. Are you sure you want communism in the U.S.? Are y'all sure about that? All right. Hong Kong activists haven't been too busy in the streets these days protesting China's crackdown in the wake of the newly enacted national security law. Instead, they've been at home, frantically scrubbing their social media accounts and digital footprints. The new law imposed by Beijing took effect July the 1st, and given that it wasn't until after that date that most people didn't even know what's in it. Sound familiar? Patriot Act, NDA, the National Defense Authorization Act. And with questions still looming over whether it can be applied to crimes and anti-mainland related activity retroactively, many young activists aren't waiting to find out and are instead busy deleting all traces of their names and activities online. An alarming report in the South China Morning Post begins as follows, quote, Sam Wong remembers exactly when he deleted his Facebook account. An hour before the clock struck midnight on July the 1st, Hong Kong officially adopted a new national security law imposed by Beijing, like many others living in the city. Wong only learned about the full details of the sweeping legislation after it was signed into law. By the time it came into force, he decided that the moment had come for him to quit the social media platform. Many aspects to the law and what its diverse layers will look like as interpreted and applied in practice remains uncertain. But some legal and industry experts say the rules authorize the police to search electronic devices believed to contain criminal evidence and acquire social media platforms and internet service providers to assist law enforcement without a warrant. The new legal situation has even forced app makers and companies to issue statements related to the Hong Kong issue. All right, Signal made an announcement and said, we'd announced that we're stopping too, but we never started turning over user data to Hong Kong police. Also, we don't have user data to turn over. All right. And it says Telegram to temporarily refuse data requests from a Hong Kong court, admit security law terrorism. Many Hong Kongers have reportedly taken to using an app called Signal, given that not only does it include end-to-end encryption, but even allows users to utilize disappearing messages, which allows for automatic deletion and scrubbing of message history anywhere from seconds after a chat to up a week following. Wong emphasized the SCMP that if my account is compromised, or if my phone is hacked, or if I'm kidnapped and someone else sees what's on my phone, that it's not just the stuff that I wrote that is being exposed, but also my friends. Recall, too, that the national security law allows for harsh prison sentences for conduct deemed subversive and separatist within semi-autonomous Hong Kong, even life in prison for acts deemed terrorism, which are politically motivated. Sound familiar? Did I not tell you? Did I not tell you that when it's all said and done, they're going to round every single last one of you Antifa and Black Lives Matters protesters? They're going to lock you in FEMA camps. It doesn't matter if you were violent or non-violent. Doesn't matter. They have your names. They have your addresses. They have your IP addresses. They have everything. Everything. And they're coming to get you. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't. But I just want you to listen to something. I have learned over the years and from various sources that anything on the internet is there forever. There is a way to bring up old and deleted websites and blogs. There is a way to bring up original web pages after web pages have changed, or blogs. Every American smart device has a government backdoor by default that they don't tell you about. They can pull your information from any electronic smart device. Any device that you have connected to the web, they have a back door. All you have to do is turn the thing on, and they got you. And yes, U.S. companies will be complying with the law enforcement. They will be complying. You better believe they can talk tough all they want, but when FBI is raiding their office facilities with machine guns and SWAT gear, you better believe they're going to turn over whatever they ask of them. Because what's going to end up happening is they're going to kick in the door with a warrant signed by a federal judge who's going to give them National Defense Authorization Act and Patriot Act powers, and they will round every single last one of you up and throw you in the FEMA camps. You're not going to jail. You're not going to prison. You're not even going to have a trial. Remember, the NDAA says you don't have to have a trial, no access to a lawyer, no rights. The Constitution and Bill of Rights does not apply to you. If they apply to you, the NDAA. They can take you to Guantanamo Bay. They can take you to a number of black sites around the world where your friends and family will never hear from or see you again. All right? FEMA camp. You say you want socialism, you want communism, you want Marxism. That's exactly what you're going to get. Don't forget, your U.S., United States of this America, is using China as their blueprint. All right? Do you not think that China doesn't know who all those protesters are? Do you not think they had back doors to a lot of that technology even before this conversation came up? Do you not think that they already knew everything that was going down and was quietly going to move in on everybody at the opportune time? Do you not think that? I'm just saying. Open your eyes, people. Do you not understand the world that you live in and have been living in for some time? See, while you guys were sleeping, they were creeping. And now they got you. So I'm just saying, you need to do the knowledge to this stuff. All right? Because they're not on the same kind of time that you're on. They're on some other stuff. Okay? I'm just saying. Now, there's a lot of so-called conspiracies. And here's one that's right in your face. They've been talking about this for a long time, and it's already starting to raise its head. Just because it's happening in one country doesn't mean it's not coming to one near you. Don't forget, we're already operating under a one world government in secret. That's why we are quickly moving to all digital so that they can roll out the one world currency. All that stuff is right in the making in front of your face. So, Deutsche Bank depositors, beware. Deutsche Bank warns trading revenue boom is ending. With Europe's benchmark interest rates still in negative territory, the long-suffering European banks, epitomized by fading German national champion Deutsche Bank, have benefited from the surge in trading activity during the first half of 2020. That helped its Q1 results surprise to the upside. But as Deutsche Bank CEO explained in an interview with Bloomberg published on Tuesday, that boost from trading revenues and explosion of debt insurance that has provided some badly needed wiggle room. As they continued, he said that this epic turnaround of Deutsche's unfortunately won't last. Deutsche Bank AG's booming trading desk are set to see the frenetic activity of the first 6 months ease as the exceptional market situation created by the coronavirus ebbs. According to Chief Executive Officer Christian sewing. Let me just interject here for a moment. Did I not tell you guys in advance that an algo shift was underway? This article came out Tuesday. I told you about the algo shift last week. Follow the numbers. Follow the numbers. Once again, follow the numbers. The market tells you everything you need to know, ladies and gentlemen. The German lender will see a slowdown in the second half after benefiting from continued momentum in markets through June. Sewing said during a webcast hosted by Bloomberg News on Tuesday. While the bank is on track or ahead on its restructuring plan despite the pandemic, he said debt capital markets is one area that's set to decelerate in coming months. Set to decelerate in the coming months. It's looking to decelerate in the coming months. Sewing is 1 year into a radical overhaul that rolled back much of Deutsche Bank's aggressive expansion as a global investment bank to focus on its traditional business of corporate banking, though recently he's relied more heavily on revenue from fixed income trading. The lender had a strong start first half in its securities business as debt securities insurance boomed and clients sought hedges and volatile markets. The investment bank is clearly on track, Sewing said, adding that was also in part due to its change of emphasis and not just making volatility in the first 6 months. In the second half, there will be for sure a little bit of slowdown because not all factors that helped in the recent period will be repeated. Not all factors that helped in the recent period will be repeated. To try to mitigate the lapse, which rhymes with collapse, Sewing said the bank will continue to expand its IG credit business as the bank seeks to restore the franchise to its former glory, or at least some semblance of what it once was. Deutsche Bank's trading unit saw a 13% gain in revenue in Q1, though that was less than its U.S. competitors. Wow. Of course, the real takeaway here is, as one analyst pointed out, is that if Deutsche Bank sees a pullback in trading revenue, it's going to need to compensate for that in other areas, which is where passing the cost of negative interest rates onto the customers comes into play. Back in April, the bank finally broke and started adding charges to accounts over $100,000. Bottom line, if the decline that Sewing's warned about comes to pass, any Germans who haven't already should consider buying a safe. In other words, take your money out of the bank because they're going to do bank bail-ins where they take your money. Oh boy. So it begins, ladies and gentlemen. Just because it's starting across the pond doesn't mean it ain't coming here. All right. Now, since we are over in that side of the world, let's stay there for a minute. Free speech is not just on the chopping block in the US, it's on the chopping block, period. Yes, I said period. Worldwide, period. All right? Period. You need to know this. You need to know this. The European Commission Against Racism and Intolerance, known as the ECRI, recently published its 6th monitoring report on Austria. The ECRI, which describes itself as independent, is the human rights monitoring body of the Council of Europe, not to be confused with the European Union. The Council of Europe is composed of 47 member states, including all of the 27 European Union member states. ECRI is an elected body with members designated by their governments, one for each member state, who are supposed to have an in-depth knowledge in the field of combating intolerance and recognize expertise in dealing with racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, and intolerance. It was founded in 1994 by the heads of state of the Council of Europe with the mandate, among other things, to review member states' legislation, policies, and other measures to combat racism, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, and intolerance, and their effectiveness. Now, thanks in large part to the efforts of the ECRI and the Council of Europe, Europe now has a huge web of hate speech laws and policies. Gatestone has previously reported on ECRI's monitoring of Germany and of Switzerland. In its sixth monitoring report on Austria, ECRI wrote that progress has been made and good practices have been developed in a number of fields. Austria has taken several initiatives to thwart hate speech by developing a counter narrative. The authorities have worked with civil society to improve the detection and recording of online hate and to provide support to victims of such incidents. In 2018, the authorities concluded an agreement with social network providers to remove hate speech within 24 hours. However, according to the ECRI, Austria must do more. ECRI notes that with concern that Austrian public discourse has become increasingly xenophobic in recent years, the political speech has taken on highly divisive and antagonistic overtones, particularly targeting Muslims and refugees. The arrival of asylum seekers in large numbers during the European migration crisis in 2015 also saw an escalation of anti-immigrant and anti-Muslim sentiments, portraying newcomers as a threat to security, national identity, or culture. ECRI ignores that there may be a context and a reason for portraying newcomers as a threat to security. It does not consider the proliferation of Islamic terrorism in Europe or research showing the terrorism have migrated into Europe disguised as asylum seekers who have gone on to perpetrate deadly terrorist attacks. It also does not acknowledge that, in the words of a 2016 New York Times article about Austria, quote, the challenges of integrating the refugees have become clearer as concerns about crime, sexual mores, and cultural clashes come into stark relief across Europe, highlighted by the New Year's Eve assaults on German women by Arab or North African men in Cologne, end quote. Similar sexual assaults by migrant men on Austrian women, but on a far lesser scale, also occurred in Salzburg and Vienna on that same night. Crime statistics for 2017 from the Austrian police showed that 39% of crime suspects were foreigners. Instead of putting that in the report notes, quote, ECRI is concerned about the sharp rise in intolerant discourse against Muslims. Two different studies conducted in 2017 suggested 28% of the Austrian population would not want Muslim neighbors, and 65% of them were strongly opposed to further migration from Muslim states. Such high levels of Islamophobia are confirmed by a FRA-EU survey in which 32% of Muslim respondents reported having experienced harassment due to their ethnic or immigrant background in the last year. Certain politicians and media persist in portraying Muslims in a negative light. Claims about a presumed lack of integration of Muslims in Austria and about their alleged opposition to fundamental Austrian values, leading to violent extremists, remain common in public discourse and contribute to a climate of mistrust and fear of Muslims. Research indicates that this trend has further been exacerbated by legislative initiatives, often in connection with security concerns that affect Muslims, such as the Islamic Act of 2015 and the Anti-Face Veiling Act of 2017, end quote. Wow, wow, wow. It's getting serious. Again, the ECRI does not mention that Austria has experienced serious problems both with integration and with radical Islamists. As previously reported by Gatestone in 2017, the Austrian Integration Fund, OIF, a department of the Foreign Ministry, published a study, The Role of the Mosque in the Integration Progress, the role of the mosque in the integration process, in which government representatives surveyed 16 mosques in Vienna. According to the study, six of the 16 mosques associations examined, 37.5% pursue a policy that actively impedes integration into society and to some extent exhibits fundamentalist tendencies. Half of the 16 mosques examined preach a dichotomous worldview, the pivotal tenet of which is the division of the world into Muslims on one side and everyone else on the other. 6 of the mosques were found to practice explicit denigration of Western society, end quote. In its 2018 annual report, Austria's Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution and Counterterrorism, BVT, warned, for Austria, the greatest threat remains from Islamist extremism and terrorism. Although fewer jihad travelers, foreign terrorist fighters, have returned to Austria than expected, this group of so-called returnees possesses a significant threat to internal security. In view of the current terrestrial dissolution of the so-called Islamic State, further security challenges consist of the possible smuggling of jihadists in the course of migration movements to Europe into Austrian society. Yeah, that's a huge challenge. None of the context exists for ECRI, which appears to operate in a vacuum, unencumbered by real-world facts. Instead, ECRI commends Austria for having several measures in place which aim to combat hate speech by developing a counter-narrative. For instance, in 2016, the National Committee for the No Hate Speech campaign of the Council of Europe was set up after launching another campaign in 2017. It still runs various awareness-raising activities with the involvement of several actors, including state authorities and NGOs. Since July of 2018, in cooperation with the Public Prosecutor's Office, New Start, which is the Austrian probation service, has initiated the program. Dialogue Stat has dialogue instead of hatred, which aims at developing a constructive response to hate speech by creating a sense of wrongdoing and reflection among offenders, subsequently leading to behavior change. Still, even these initiatives do not suffice. I tell you, this is a tough one, ladies and gentlemen. This is tough. When you start talking about politics, and then when you start talking about integrating foreigners into society, that's rough. That's rough. It's rough for a lot of reasons. First of all, you have people that expatriate from one location to another. Now, I'm a proponent of free travel. I don't like visas. I don't like passports. As an adult, you should be free to travel. You should be free to go wherever you want to go. Now, the flip side of that, though, what constitutes a country? I think it's language, culture, and borders. Trying to pretend that countries should not have borders or don't have borders is ludicrous. Countries are made up of language, culture, and borders. A country gets to decide if it will allow any foreigners in its country for tourism or repatriation or otherwise. That is up to the sovereign nations to decide how they want to do that. It's their country. You're not from here. You have no ancestry here. You have no relatives here. So we don't have to allow you in the country. They can do that. There's nothing wrong with them saying, we're not letting nobody come in. It's their country. Just like it's your house. You have say-so who you invite over to your home. It is not up to me to force you to allow certain people to enter your home. We would call that ridiculous as well. You don't get to tell someone who they can let in their home. It's your home. You don't even have to explain why you won't allow certain people to visit your home. You don't have to explain that. It's your home. So why should a country be any different? It's their country. They can say, we don't have to explain to you why we don't want certain people. A country can do whatever it wants. It's their country. It's their land. It's their home. Just like you are not forced to allow people in your home that you don't want in your home. They have the same right to do it, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. They can be straight up racist. They can say, we don't want anyone with brown skin to enter our country. If your complexion is darker than ours, you can't come in my country. Or they could say, if your complexion is lighter than ours, you can't come in my country. If you are under 6 feet tall, you can't come in my country. If you're over 6 feet tall, you're not allowed to come in my country. It's their country. Do they have to even do we really need to have this discussion in 2020? Does anyone not understand your home, your property, your country, your property? Okay. It is what it is. Well, no, see, we're not talking about the world. We're talking about countries. What makes up a country? What makes up a country? I have to agree with my man Savage. All right? Language, culture, borders. That is a country. We're not talking about the whole world. We're talking about country. All right? It would be ridiculous for someone to walk up into China and say, you will do this. You don't own this land. And they will laugh at you and say, our ancestors have been in this land for over 1,000 years. What are you talking about? China is one of the oldest countries on the planet. How do you get to tell them what they can and cannot do? Now, I know what some people are going to say. Okay? I know what they're going to say. All right? They're going to say, we disagree with your boy Savage, Michael Savage. Yeah, we listened to his radio show for years. We disagree. Well, then, let's break it down. Again, what is a country? What constitutes a country if not language, if not culture, if not borders? Then how do you get nationality? Again, nations primarily are separated by language. Point blank. Language. That's number one. Culture is number two. Language and culture go together. Number three, the borders that surround the country. Again, you don't have to like it. You don't even have to agree with it, but you do have to acknowledge it. China has always been located at the same place on the map. Latitude and longitude has not changed in 1,000 years. They have been there where they are. It has not changed in 1,000 years. They did not travel from some distant land and then move into China and rape and pillage and kick all of the original people out of the land and say, oh, this is our land now. As far as antiquities go back, China's been right there located in the same place at the same time. Now, I know what y'all going to say. What about conquered lands and conquered people? What about them? As we know, warfare has existed as long as human beings have been on the planet. Man conquers man, takes man's land, says it's my land now. The conquered serve the conquerors. It is what it is. We don't have to like it. You don't have to accept it. But yes, they had a war, they had a battle, they lost. End of story. If you want to take your land back, then you would have to rise up, go to war with the invaders, and take back your land. That is the only way that happens. The invaders don't just voluntarily move out. The colonizers just not going to just pack up and just roll out. You know, it's a fact of life. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I know it's not what people want to hear, but it is a fact. A country gets to decide what it wants to do. All right. If someone rolls up in your home and you do nothing and you roll over, you lay down and let them just walk up in your house and say, I live here now. And no, I'm not paying you rent or nothing. It's my house. Matter of fact, you get out. Or they may say, you know what? I am a benevolent dictator. Even though I have taken over your home and claimed it as my own, I will allow you to live here. And yes, because I am benevolent and I've taken over your home, but I'm benevolent. I am a benevolent savage. I am a benevolent, scoundrel. What I will do, I will let you live here, and I will even allow you to continue to pay your mortgage. I will allow you to pay all the utilities. I will allow you to continue to buy all the groceries out of the goodness of my heart. I will allow you to continue to make the car payments in the car in the driveway. I will allow you to do all those things. But just know that this is my home now, and I've taken over. How would you feel? You wouldn't like that very much, would you? So at the end of the day, again, it's language and its borders and its culture. The U.S. is very unique, though. Unlike other countries, the U.S. situation is unique because they say, hey, this is the melting pot. Come one, come all from distant lands. Come to America. Doesn't matter where you're from, just come over here, right? Now that sounds good on the surface. But at the end of the day, they didn't end there. They said, oh, by the way, when you come here, can you do us a favor? Yeah, sure. What's that? Can you leave your language and your culture on Ellis Island? Just leave it right there. Just put it over there in that pile with the other cultures and other languages, and then we'll handle that for you. But yeah, just drop that. You can't bring your language and your culture into the country. You have to assimilate into the American society, speak American English, all right, and follow American culture and customs, all right? That's what America did. And if you did not comply, it was frowned upon. It would make it very difficult and hard for you to function into society, and it would cost you on multiple levels. If you did not speak American English, if you did not practice American culture and customs, it made it hard for you to get a job, hard for you to get into certain schools. It just made it hard for you even to be accepted because everyone else did it. Everyone else comes over here and they forget their language and they forget their culture. And they say, we're Americans now. All right. You ask them, so what are you? I'm American. I'm American. Even though you know good and well you came over here on a boat and you speak a different language, your parents spoke a different language, had a different culture, different beliefs, and now you're going to forget all of that and say, I'm American. Some immigrants that came to America even changed their names, gave themselves American names because they knew if they went by their 16-digit first name and 24-digit middle name and 36-digit last name, that they would not be received very well. So America's different. Okay, America's a little different. I do not believe there's been anything close to it in history. All right. I know people like to point to the Roman Empire, and there's a lot of similarities there. But as far as how America does it, it's on a grander scale. Rome did it too. Rome was very forgiving. They didn't really care what religion you practiced or even what language you spoke, as long as you were loyal to the Caesar. That's all they cared about. They didn't care about nothing else. They let you practice your religion. They let you speak whatever language you want to speak. But that's it. So again, when you start talking about relations with foreign integration into your society. Again, I believe a country has a right to decide and dictate how they want that to go. So when you start messing up, man, you silly, man. I had to post that one. Proud fourth generation Marxist, socialist, communist, fascist, liquidation specialist. Oh man, you guys are hilarious, man. I had to post that one. That was dope. I like that one too. I like that one too. Come to the land we stole and speak European, English, French, or Spanish. You guys, y'all know y'all wrong, man. But you know what? But it's all true though. That's what we are, folks. That's why this whole how we relate to one another. At the end of the day, I think it boils down to mutual respect. You don't have to like everybody or even agree with everybody, but we do need to show respect. But I'm starting to see a different trend, though. I'm starting to see where people are withholding respect. If you disagree with anyone over the slightest thing, you're considered their enemy. You like chocolate cake, they like strawberry cake. And so because you don't like strawberry cake, you're an idiot. You are now canceled, and no one will want to deal with you anymore. If that is not something out of preschool, I don't know what is. Since when does everyone have to agree on everything in order to be friends? I've had good friends, best friends, where we don't see eye to eye on hardly anything, but we enjoy each other's company and we're good friends. Okay? You don't have to agree. Sometimes we had the most fun debating and disagreeing with each other and cracking up, laughing. That's friendship. Friendship. So since when do we need to be the same in order to be friends? I don't understand. I think that's where the problem is really coming in, and it doesn't help. We can't, we can't overlook what was just stated in the article. We can't overlook that some people will take that kindness for weakness and will come into your country for the sole purpose to sow discord and to do acts of terrorism. Okay? We have to deal with that. We gotta deal with that. Okay? That's a problem, but that's a harder answer though. I know about the whole Islamic terrorism thing. I know, but I also know many Muslims who are non-violent, and they would never raise their hand to hurt anybody. Some of the most loving, kindest people I've ever met. All right. I can say that about just about every category of person. I know people in the LGBTQ community that are some of the coolest, nicest, selfless, giving people I've ever met as well. I've known people like that from all walks of life. So does that mean because I disagree with your lifestyle that we can't have a hamburger together? Does that mean we can't hang out? Is that where we've gotten to? Is that where we're reduced to now? Now, I've known crazy people from every walk of life too. I've known people use monikers as as a disguise, where you got people pretending to be Muslims so they can bomb and blow stuff up. Just like people pretending to be Roman Catholics that are killing and blowing stuff up. People claiming to be Christians that are killing and blowing stuff up. People claiming to be, whatever, fill in the blank, and they're killing people and blowing stuff up. So you have, fake people, wolves in sheep's clothing from all walks of life. You just can't single out people coming from Islamic countries and saying, oh, you're a terrorist. That's not true. Or you're part of a cell. That's not true. Now, how you vet people for that, I have no idea. I do not have all the answers on that. I don't know. I just know you can't paint everybody with a broad brush because, you wouldn't like it if someone did that to you. You wouldn't like it if someone knew that you were Roman Catholic and they said, okay, you're a terrorist, you're a murderer, we can't be friends, you can't come into the country, you can't do this, you can't do that. And you'd be like, what are you talking about? Yeah, because your ancestors remember the Inquisitions. So sorry, nope, 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 nope. You've killed too many people. You've also colonized the world with your religion, and you murdered many Christians who did not bow to the Roman Catholicism. So nope, you can't come in. Or someone says, well, I'm a Protestant, I'm not a Roman Catholic. Oh, okay, you still can't come in. Why can I not come in now? Because you've bombed too many abortion clinics, you've killed too many innocent people, and we can't allow you to come in. Well, that wasn't me, and I don't know anyone who even did that. Yeah, but because people who have used the Protestant moniker have blown up abortion clinics, you can't come in. You cannot come in. You wouldn't like that very much. And you wouldn't like it very much if you were part of the LGBTQ community and someone said, no, you can't come in. Well, why can't I come in? Are you homophobic? And they say, yes, we are, because too many of you are pedophiles and have raped children and have raped people and turned them gay. So no, you can't come in here. No, that's not, what are you talking about? That's not true. Yes, it is. I have statistics right here. This right here is the latest statistics that we have right here showing that the number one rising rape group in America right now are females doing raping children and raping other women and even men in some cases. So no, we can't let you in. You wouldn't like that very much. You say, well, I've never raped anyone, that's not me. Yeah, but it's a stereotype, and because we're scared here, you can't come in. And we can go on and on and on down the line, down the list. It is not fair to judge everyone for the acts of even few or many. You got to judge people by their own conduct and character. All right. But again, how you protect against those things, I have no idea. I have no idea. I just don't know. All I know is it is a problem though, even in this country. Homegrown terrorism. Look at what's going on now with the Black Lives Matter and the Antifa. People are committing crimes under those monikers, and they may not even be part of the group. So how do you deal with that? I'm not a politician. I'm not a president. I have no idea. I just know we can't ignore it, and it is a problem. You know what I'm saying? We can't ignore it. We cannot ignore what's really going on. We can't. But we also can't ignore subversion either. The reason why the conspiracies are ongoing is because if you follow the money and if you look at history, you know something's not right. In the past, pre-pandemic, if any group of people were doing what Black Lives Matter and Antifa are doing right now, they would have cracked down. The government would have cracked down on them so bad. You know what I'm saying? They would use whatever resources they had, COINTELPRO, you name it. They would have clamped down. Our government has been. That's one of the things that the U.S. government does very well, regardless of what agencies that they employ to do it. They're very good at infiltrating organizations and bringing them down from within. They're very good on that. How can we get things back on the right track, or are things too far gone? Nah, things have been too far gone. I've been telling you all that for as long as I've been on YouTube. And I think where we are today is just proof of what I've been telling you guys all along. We're so far down the rabbit hole, we can't turn back. There's no turning back now. Too much has happened. The fact that all these things are happening is proof that we're too far gone, because they wouldn't have allowed it. They would not have allowed it. Our government would not have allowed it. The U.S. government is it's the scariest government on the planet. They're scared of everything. If they even suspect that you're a threat to their power, they will destroy you and wipe you off the map. They're allowing this thing to go on. They allow the plan. That's why it's called the pandemic, because it was planned at least to what we have found so far a year in advance. Okay. So no, they're not going to let this go. Do you know how much political ground they have covered by deploying this pandemic worldwide like they did? They are really enjoying what they're doing, but here's something they don't know, and I don't know why people aren't talking about this. They're planning for a war. They are. They've been moving assets across the chessboard for a minute. So they're planning for war. They want this to happen. They want civil war in America. You have nefarious organizations that want to bring it down. They are prepared to crush America just to get Trump out of office. If they could, right now, if they could do it, they would nuke a few U.S. cities just to get Trump out of office. If that's what it took, they're prepared to do it. Okay, question about Kanye West. All right. Let me be clear about the Kanye West situation. If he wants to run for president, so be it. He certainly has enough money to run for president. All right. If he wanted to use his own money, he has enough money to run for president. He is well known, like Donald Trump. There's no reason that he cannot run, as long as he's, he's old enough to run. I know you have to be at least 35. So as long as he's at least 35 years old, he's all right. Will he get elected? I doubt it. But that's what people said about Trump too, and he got elected. So I don't know. I've been wrong before. I'm not a political analyst by any means. I suck. All right. Thank God that the markets are not made up of political trading systems, because I would suck. I wouldn't make no money. I was wrong. Look, my wrongness dates all the way back to George Bush, the younger. I thought that he was a good dude. It's before I woke up. All right, I didn't come into full knowledge until 2009. All right, so anything prior to 2009 was done out of ignorance. All right, so I was ignorant until 2009. Now, as far as the Kanye goes, man, Trump broke the system because he had no political experience, and because he was a billionaire, he was able to run for office and win. Okay. So that made it so that anyone can run for office and win. It used to be, it took a lot, for someone to be president. You know what I'm saying? Like the Republicans had to select you. The Democrats had to select you. An independent would never be able to get there in the final round ever, and that's just the nature of the game was. So the Kanye thing, if this was 2007, I would have laughed and said, "Heck no, he will never make it." And I will say, like what I said with Obama, I said they ain't gonna no black man get in office. They'll blow his head off like they did JFK, first chance they get. And that didn't happen. Now I'm glad that didn't happen, because who wants to see someone get murdered, especially a sitting president? I don't like seeing anyone get murdered, especially a president. But I'm glad I was wrong about that. I'm glad I was wrong about it. So like I said, with politics, I've been wrong before. I'm going to say he has just as good as a chance of winning a presidency as anyone. If Obama can make it in office twice, if Trump can make it in office, then why can't Kanye? Do I think he'll be a good president? No. If our presidential office was more like a king or dictatorship, then I would say that he would probably make an excellent dictator, because of his worldview and his belief systems, which are very radical to what's out there. So I would say that, yeah, he could do a good job. Most people could do a good job in that situation, believe it or not. However, it's the presidency we're talking about. The president is not in power. The president is a spokesperson, a puppet. They have no power to do anything. I know you can say, yeah, but they have presidential power where they can just say, okay, I'm going to do this this little thing they do, executive order. Yeah, whatever. All I know is this. The president is just a figurehead. It's the people behind that run the country that have the final word. So let's just be real about that. Him running for president will not bring any change. If he runs for president, his job will be to make the public feel good about what the powers that be, what the shadow government wants. And he will just push their agendas further, as will anyone who gets in the office. I don't care who it is. I don't care who runs for office. At the end of the day, they're going to do what the powers that be want them to do. And because our government is split right down the middle right now, you got the power elite fighting against one another. It'll be even more. It's going to be chaos. It doesn't matter who gets in office. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter if it's Hillary. It doesn't matter if Obama runs again and wins. I don't care if Big Daddy Kane runs for president and wins, or Rakim, or Karis One, or Kim Kardashian. It don't matter. Doesn't matter who is selected, because presidents are not elected, they're selected. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You will do what they want you to do, or you will get the JFK treatment. All presidents know that. They're not stupid. Why do you think all they do is push the next person's agenda? What did George Bush do? He gave y'all that Patriot Act. Bam! That's his magnum opus. What did Obama do? He pushed all of Bush's agendas forward, especially the ones that he couldn't do when he was in office. They saved that for Obama. Boom, Obama pushed that forward. Now, next question. What has Trump done? Has Trump overturned any of the totalitarian policies that Obama put in place? No, he has not. We still have the NDAA. We still have the Patriot Act. They haven't gone anywhere. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the NDAA reinstated? Because I think it was supposed to be up. Didn't either Obama? No, didn't Trump? Trump did that. Didn't Trump just reinstate that? Wasn't it like a year or two ago where that had to be reinstated, and it happened without even so much as a whisper? So yeah. Any way you look at it, it is what it is, man. It's not going to change. And there are many reasons for that. Number one, because we have this infighting right now, and we have different agendas that are trying to be pushed forward. You got the military industrial complex that has an agenda. Then you have the prison industrial complex that has an agenda. Then you have the pharmaceutical industrial complex that has an agenda. So you have all these different entities that have an agenda and they want to see their agenda put forward. Then you got the central bank agenda. Then you got the UN's agenda. There's so many agendas. The big one right now that is on the table is, America turning communist. All right. So will the United States turn into a socialist communistic situation? Probably. Now I know Trump says not as while I'm in president. That could mean one of two things. That could mean that because of the division and powers, the power vacuum right now, that he's saying I'm not going to let their agenda go forward in that thing. So I'm going to keep fighting it. Or it can mean the latter, which is what I think it means. I think it means what he's saying is it will never happen as long as I'm president. I think he was letting you guys know that it's going to happen, but it's just not going to happen on his watch. They're saving that for the next president. All right. I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Thunderbird got a good one. What you got? All right. Trump has dropped more bombs and killed more civilians in Afghanistan in both 2018 and 2019 than any time during the occupation since 9/11. Ouch. Once again, did he bring all the troops home? No. No and yes. It's easy for him to claim and say, hey, I brought all the troops home. Because technically he did. But guess what? We got like 1 billion military bases all over the country. So just because you didn't deploy troops from the United States to go over there and do the bombing doesn't mean you didn't already have, thousands of troops on the military base right there to do the work for you. You see how they can play with words and mislead people and lie through their teeth? Just saying, man. We live in a vicious world, man. And let's not get it twisted. We know what's going on, right? Y'all know that we are getting very close to the end. And I think that the Luciferians that are in the power elite are happy about it. So just saying, yeah, you're right. Trump has presided over the biggest bailouts in history. Yeah, because the pandemic is on him. It's on his watch. There's gonna be no fix. I told you I believe that America is gonna bow out of the world stage gracefully because it's gonna have too much going on at home to be policing the world, and it's gonna have to close all of its military bases all over the world. It's not gonna be able to afford to keep those things up and going anymore. It's gonna be whack. But understand, nature abhors a vacuum. So when America bows out gracefully from the center stage, that means Europe is going to rise up. We're going to have a new Rome. And regardless of what happens after America is no longer in the picture, it doesn't mean it's going to be pretty. As a matter of fact, it's going to be about 100 times worse. I believe, hopefully not in my lifetime, but I do believe we're just one breath away from purge being an everyday occurrence. We're already seeing a rise in lawlessness, complete and utter lawlessness. So what's next after lawlessness? Complete anarchy. And I think that's what's going to come on the back of this. That's why people are leaving the cities and moving out to the suburbs and getting as far away as possible because they know that something bad is coming. They know winter is coming. The virus pandemic and social economic shockwave across the U.S., and more specifically in the top metro areas, has created much uncertainty for city dwellers who are now fleeing for the suburbs. Over the past several months, it's been documented that city dwellers have been leaving the big cities for the suburbs and small towns and communities to isolate themselves from the virus and socio-economic tensions unfolding in many metropolitan areas. Now, while the exodus from cities is still in the early stages, it's now believed that at least one expert says that city dwellers could continue to flee U.S. metros for the next 18 to 24 months. So you're looking at a mass exodus that is going to last until probably 2023 or 2024. I think the next 18 to 24 months are going to show a lot of exodus out of central business districts. And as you can expect, it's going to make the news. We're already seeing lots of office vacancy. For example, in the suburbs that are now been absorbed, there's a lot of demand for rental homes that you're starting to see because people are fleeing, especially hot spots like New York City. But I'm telling you, it's coming. Now, take a note of certain things that are happening. We got murder spikes in New York City as residents flee for the suburbs. San Francisco rent drops most on record as people flee for the suburbs. U.S. new home sales plunge to a 10-year low as exodus from cities accelerate. That should make you think, folks. People are starting to feel that something ain't right. Okay? It's just not right. So now the next question is, what's the next shoe that's going to drop? Is there going to be a second wave this fall? I believe the markets are telling us that it believes that it is. I'm just saying. Get ready for it because you never know. We're gonna watch it though. We're gonna keep our ear out. Yes, you guys talking about the second beast that rises out of the earth and the church. Man, nah, I don't believe America has any doings as far as a center stage appearance during that time period. Not at all. I think that America is about to bow out gracefully because it's going to have so much civil war and chaos happening that it's not going to be able to be a world superpower anymore. I think it's going to just straight up collapse like Rome did. I think right now America is under stiff judgment, divine judgment, and that just like many other countries too, but especially America. And I think it's about to get spanked. I think its time in the sun is nearing its end, and it's no longer going to be the world superpower. I think the new world superpower is probably going to be China or Russia, to be quite honest with you. That's what it's looking like. It seems that that's where the chips are falling right now. But regardless of any of that, I mean, none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff matters. In the long run, none of that stuff matters. What matters in the end? What matters is, are you born again? Do you know the Lord? Because if World War III breaks out tomorrow and millions of people die, the question is, where would you spend eternity? And if you are not born again, if you have not answered that question, then to me, in my opinion, you have the most to be worried about. Whatever happens here on this earth is temporal. It's temporary. But eternity is eternity. There's no end. So that's what people should be concerned about. If you're really scared and you've really been prepping and talking about food storage and you're trying to get, shelters and get shelters built and all this other stuff, that's not going to help you, because at the end of the day, it's not about that. It's about what are you going to do with the Bible? What are you going to do with Jesus Christ? That is what everyone should be dealing with. If you are afraid that you are unfit to die, then you got to deal with that. And then that is all the prepping that you really need at the end of the day. You can prep, but eventually your food and water sources are going to run out. And eventually you got to go outside. So if you're in your underground bunker and you got 5 years worth of food, 10 years worth of food and water, fill in the blank with the number. Eventually you're still going to have to go outside. You got to go outside. Because your food and water resources at some point will run out. Whether it be 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years. Still got to go outside. What do you do after that? What do you do when it runs out? What do you do when it runs out? All right. Well, as far as the harvesting of souls, again, I will have to say that for another live. If y'all want me to go into depth about that, I can. But we don't have time to do that today, though. But we can talk about the harvesting of souls. We can talk about the Pope being the son of perdition, which he is not. The son of perdition is going to be of Jewish descent. We can go into that, why and how that is at a later date if you guys want. From time to time, it does come up in this broadcast because of the topics we cover. And at the end of the day, like I said, the numbers tell you everything. Everything is in the numbers. Everything goes back to the market. Regardless of what we're talking about, everything goes back to the market. You want to know why? Because at the end of the day, people vote with their money. They vote with their wallet. If people are concerned about certain things, then they're going to move in that direction. When we first had the lockdowns with the pandemic, what did you see? You see people, they were hoarding toilet paper and sanitizer and masks and rice and noodles, and just you couldn't find supplies that you needed and wanted because people were panicking and they were cleaning out the store shelves. So that means that people were concerned about what? Their survival. People were concerned about dying. Yep. So if you think a second wave of pandemic is coming, that means you are concerned with your mortality. You can use this situation of the coronavirus as means to get right with God. For those of you who are in a backslidden state, you need to make your election clear. You need to open up your Bible and you need to pray and get right with God, because if they're going to release a stronger version of the pandemic this fall, then you can bet your bottom dime that millions of people are going to die this time, not just a few thousand. All right. So if y'all want to get into that, we can get into it, but we won't be able to do it today. We can do it on a future broadcast. It's up to y'all. All right. Keep your eye on the markets today. I think there's a strong chance we could have a crash into the close. Just the way the algos seem to be working this morning. So keep your eyes open. We may not have seen the highs in the Bitcoin Future Composite Index, gold or silver yet for the day. So just keep your eyes open on that front. All right. And with that said, you know what it is. Smash that like button for me. And remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back, and go to PulseWaveTrading.com so that you can break bread with us, player. All right. If we going out, let's go out with a bang. Let's make as much money from these markets as possible. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're using corn chips, potato chips, Bitcoin, or dollar bills. You're going to still need to have it. And it takes money to get those things that you need. So with that said, see y'all in the trading room. Everybody else, I'll see you at the end of the day report. And I'm out. Peace.